and they contribute nothing. The welfare is like 88%. They contribute nothing. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you, okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I can say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise. But when they come from hell, and they complain, and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, has the Bureau offered to leave?
Yeah. Wow. Wow, just wow. Welcome to the J.J. Carrell Show. That's who I voted for. That's the man I voted for. Now I want your actions to meet and match your words, Mr. President, because I know you can. I know you have it in you. I know you do. Wow. That's about a minute, 40 seconds. I could spend a whole show just breaking down what he said in a minute 40 seconds. Let's start out with one that is great. Ilhan Omar and her people from Somalia are garbage. And they come from a garbage nation of garbage people. How do we know that? Is that just a racist kind of thing to say between a white president and a white podcaster? No. Let's look at it. One of the poorest nations in the continent of Africa, Somalia. Inbreeding is outrageous. I think it's about 50% or higher. Their average IQ is retardation. And when they come to America, they steal. And they steal, and they steal, and they steal some more. I just read before I came on the show. Couldn't believe it. I had to go back and look at this data. 80% of every crime committed in Minneapolis, aka Little Mogadishu, is committed by, you got it, the retarded Somalians. Raping women, kidnapping and raping them, torturing them, killing people, stealing over $1 billion. It's not just Minnesota's money. I could almost be okay with their stealing Minnesota's money because those gutless, progressive leftists in Minnesota, let them eat it. They have a male cheerleader for the Vikings, so they can all go to hell. But it's not their money. It's my money. It's the federal government's money. We're losing billions of dollars to Somalians. And I'm not talking about 10 million Somalians stealing $1 billion, which would be bad enough, but I could say, okay, we could kind of parse it out. Less than 100,000 of these stupid, retarded people from Somalia have stolen over $1 billion. Hundreds of millions a year. What else did Trump say? He said your country is garbage. You come from hell. And then you come here and you complain. You bitch and moan. Trump could be speaking about the Mexicans, the Guatemalans, the Hondurans, the Egyptians, all the Middle East, all the countries of Africa, because I want you to understand that there are 195 nations on planet Earth, and over 180 of them were captured in the Border Patrol arrest data in the 4 years under Joe Biden. The entire effing world came to America. 30 million people. And they're all bitching and moaning and stealing from us. Donald Trump said, I want them all out. I want them gone. I want them all gone. And I don't want it to be over a 5-year period. I don't want it to be over a year period. I want it to be under a 30-day period. I want this to be high speed. You're gone. This is, you know what happens when there's a national emergency? Meaning foreigners are stealing all of our money, raping our women, killing our men, child sex trafficking, drug trafficking, committing heinous crimes at unbelievable levels. You know what you do? You claim executive authority and you begin removing the cancer and the enemy from our nation. And anyone that gets in your way, you bulldoze them. You bulldoze them. Donald Trump is saying the right things. And I believe he is trying with all his might. But I believe Donald Trump has to come to almost a come to Jesus moment where he's going to have to sit down in the silence of the Oval Office or the silence of his bedroom in the White House and sit there and contemplate what needs to be done and weigh out the fact that a significant percentage of our country are morons and or they're traitorous bastards. And he cannot wait to do anything. He has to do it now. The Constitution gives you a lot of latitude, Mr. President. You need to not bump up on the guardrails. You need to slam into those guardrails. Because if you don't, the Democrats are going to kill you physically. They're going to kill you. And when they got you in the grave, and all of these impotent rhinos, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, everybody from J.D. Vance down, gutless rhinos. They just are. Maybe they're getting a little more bolden because daddy's home. But when daddy is dead or daddy's in jail, they're going to revert back to their sink and swim, their survival tactics. And guess what's going to happen to people like me and you with our red MAGA hats, with our patriotic beliefs and statutes and our patriotic post? They're going to come for us. If you do not think that, you are a fool. They will come for us. They came for us half-assed January 6th and a little bit after. They learned their lesson. They can't do this anymore. They have to go for the jugular and kill America. And our gutless politicians on the Republican side will not end the filibuster, will not do anything. Byron Davis, is it Byron Davis? Byron Donald, excuse me. Byron Davis is a baseball player. Byron Donald from Florida, he's running for governor, and he is a congressman. A lot of things coming out about him that it's not squaring. However, I watched him on today saying that the House, have passed the SAVE Act twice. What's the SAVE Act? Only U.S. citizens can vote and voter ID. Do you know why they can't pass it in the Senate? Because they haven't taken a vote. John Thune, the very, very vanilla pencil, charisma of a piece of sand, has not brought a vote yet. Well, why haven't you done that, sir? Because you're part of the Never Trumpers. See, I don't forget. Maybe America forgets. The Lindsey Grahams, the John Thune, the Mitch McConnells, all you people, all you Never Trumpers, Rand Paul, all of you Never Trumpers, I don't forget. You're the enemy. John Thune's the enemy. John Thune is a fence sitter. To me, anyone on the fence they need to be shot in the war. Not right now, but in the war. When the war comes, and it will come, all the fence sitters have to, you know what? It's not going to be my quote, my side killing the fence sitters. they'll be the left. The left will just mow them all down. And I will sit there and do nothing but applaud, going, okay, thank you. You cleared the battlefield of all these losers. Ilhan Omar is garbage. Well, why isn't Ilhan Omar on a plane back to Somalia right now? It's already been proven she has committed finance fraud, campaign finance fraud. She married her brother, so she's incestuous and did a immigration fraud. It's a felony that removes her and denaturalizes her. Why is she removed? Like right now. You want to set I mean, if I had 5 seconds with the president, I would say, sir, you want to set the tone, like to really set the tone of what you're going to do. Get rid of that hag in her dirty headscarf. Get rid of her. And every Somalian would be scared to death. Little Mogadishu, Minneapolis, is going to become ground zero for the fuse to be lit, and there's going to be massive bloodshed. Let me explain. You have Mayor Fry, who is the quintessential beta male. Disgusting. I hate everything about these leftist white men. They make me want to vomit. Speaking to his constituents in Somalian, in the gutter language of Somalia, that no one can understand unless you have a cold and you have a lot of phlegm in your throat and you begin to speak. That's what it sounds like to be Somalian. It's a garbage language with garbage people from a garbage nation that are all majority are retarded. But Mayor Fry and the new chief of police said when federal agents come in to begin the immigration arrest, he is going to have his police officers intervene. Do you understand what that's going to look like? Do you think federal agents are going to be subservient to some local PD officer in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, some Somalian DEI hire? Do you think a federal agent that's been on the job 15, 20 years and has done it and knows the rules and the laws, you think he's going to listen to some Mogadishu piece of garbage from Somalia? And what do you think that Somalian half-retarded person is going to do? You think he's going to talk to the federal agent? Or do you think what he's going to do is react the way Africans react? You think they have conversations like me and you have? It's war-torn across the continent. They're slaughtering each other every single day. Do you think they're going to have a conversation? You think I'm going to be the guy that's sitting there talking to the retarded Somalian cop and I'm going to sit there and I'm not going to have my hand on my gun? Like I'm not going to proverbial break the leather, like take my snap and move the gun and ready to be able to draw my weapon because I know he is. Because I know that he's a retarded person. And I know that his actions are to attack because that's how they grew up. It's in their DNA. And when that happens, who gets their gun out fast? Faster. Oh boy. Oh my God. I can't even imagine that scenario, that situation. But the Democrats are creating that situation. Creating it. Donald Trump said things sitting in his cabinet meeting, which I have endless videos from the cabinet meeting because the people that are in a cabinet are emboldened. I like them, but I know that they're emboldened to say the things they say because the man that's in charge says those things. Without Donald Trump, this is an absolute fact. Without Donald Trump, there is no MAGA. Without Donald Trump, the Republican Party is worthless. I don't like the Republican Party. I voted for Trump in spite of the R. But it is him. He's alone. There is no one else. He's like this. He's like a dad. And all of the men around him are like teenagers. Like, this is a strong, powerful alpha dad. And you got a bunch of yippy yaps, teenagers running around him. No one has the age and the experience and the determination and the courage that he has. They're feeding off of him. But they don't have it themselves. If they kill Donald Trump, that's my greatest fear, because they know as well as I do that everything that's happening right now is simply because of one man, Donald Trump. If they kill Donald Trump, then it's going to stop. No one's going to, Lindsey Graham's going to take over, and Mitch McConnell's going to get hopped up on some kind of cocktail of narcotics and come to life as much as the dead person can, and they're going to go back to normal. I know that, and the left knows that. That's what makes me more nervous than anything, is the left knows it as well as I do. And they're getting increasingly nervous that Trump is finally going to act. I don't know if he's finally going to act. Name me one person that Pam Bondi's arrested. We're at month 11. No one's been arrested. James Comey has not been arrested. His case was dismissed. So I'm going to give you another chance, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. So when you get your next arrest warrant ready, maybe it's a little cleaner this time, you do the 6 a.m. raid, and you get that big giant piece of trash out of his bed in his pajamas, and you hogtie him and throw him in the back of a squad car. You don't let him come in his nice suit. No, he's coming in his pajamas, just like Roger Stone did, just like all those January 6ers did. Why does he not get the same? Why? I listened to a gentleman today before I came on, and it struck me. I think he was a Hispanic man. I don't really care what he is, but I'm saying the race just because I want to prove a point in a minute. He had to be about 40s, looked muscular, strong, passionate. He sounded just like me. And he was saying, he was railing for 2 minutes, 3 minutes straight. Where are you, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino? Where are you? You haven't made an arrest. Where were we? We were fighting in the trenches while we were getting slaughtered. Those people that we want you to arrest are vile human beings. They kicked us when we were down. They beat on us. They tried to take and so many times did take our way of life, censored us. And you haven't arrested them yet. Why? Why haven't you arrested them yet? It's an honest question. I want an answer. Why haven't you arrested anybody, Dan Bongino? Let me just make sure my audience is clear on something, okay? Dan Bongino, I respect Dan Bongino because he was a former law enforcement officer, became an incredible podcaster, made a lot of money, had an incredible amount of influence. So it's someone that I respect from that realm, okay? Now, I was about 3 levels higher than Dan Bongino in law enforcement, in federal law enforcement. I'm not negating what he did. I'm just saying I did a whole hell of a lot more. I wouldn't behave this way. I would be making arrests every single day. Let's take it like so they make me in charge of the border. And I go down to the border and I do nothing. And it's just every day. I don't change anything. Everything just keep going. 11 months, still the border's wide open. People are crossing. Don't you think you'd want my head? Dan Bongino, why haven't you arrested anybody? And here's the kicker of all kickers. If I was in his position and he was in mine, oh, dear Lord. Oh, dear Lord. He would not stop railing against me. And rightfully so. He would not stop. He would begin to question my integrity. He would question my intelligence. He would question my ability. And then he would question, how did they get to him and make him not do anything? I go through and I watch that gentleman, Hispanic gentleman, that sounds just like me. And then later on in my feed, I see a young beautiful little teenage girl. Looks like she has braces on. She's railing against illegal immigration. And I knew right then when I'm watching it, I went, oh, everything has changed. It's now every race, every sex, every age has hit their limit. When you have a cross section of teenage girls with braces, Hispanic men, white men, and black men, I can find numerous black men, conservative black men, America first black men, not conservative. I don't even know what conservative means anymore. When you have that, you have a problem, America. Who's the problem for? The problem is for all of you leftists, all of you rhinos, and every one of you legal, illegal, foreign nationals that are in our country. Because there's going to come a time, and it's going to happen sooner than you can imagine, where this cross section of Americanism is going to coalesce and come together, and you better be fast. Meaning you better run for the border as fast as your ass can get you there. Because America is at her breaking point. And that's the last thing that I want to talk about on Donald Trump, what he said. Because it hit me between the eyes when he said it. Because I believe it. But it's unnerving to hear the president say it. We are at a tipping point in America. We literally can go one way, socialism, communism, open borders, destroy our demographics, or we can rebuild America. Did you hear what he said? We need to rebuild America. He didn't say we need to clean America up. We need to rebuild America. Rebuild it. Make America great again. When I give speeches, I ask people, are y'all MAGA? Oh, yeah, I'm MAGA, I'm MAGA. Then do you agree that America is not great? Oh, boy, you can hear a pin drop and people wrestling in their seats. And I say, well, my follow-up question is, okay, you're all very uncomfortable, but you believe in a slogan that says, make America great again. That means, intellectually, she's not great right now. It's okay to say she's not great. That doesn't make you unpatriotic. That doesn't make you hate America. That just makes you someone that sees things for what they are. And what they are is our nation is unbalanced. It's off center. We've lost our ways for a multitude of reasons. I want to play some more videos from his cabinet meeting, because I want you to listen to these people talk and understand their bravado, their use of certain words and phrases would never, ever, ever be spoken without the father sitting at the table, okaying it. And here's one of them, J.D. Vance, talking about illegal immigration and what it's done to our nation.
Very clearly is that we are fixing the problem that Joe Biden and the Democrats created in the last administration. If you look at every affordability crisis that's confronting the American people today, it is traceable directly to a problem caused by Joe Biden and congressional Democrats. Why did homes get so unaffordable? Because we had 20 million illegal aliens in this country taking homes that ought by right to go to American citizens. Why did tax bills get so unaffordable? Because Democrats were raising taxes while congressional Republicans under the president's leadership we're now cutting taxes. Why did food get so expensive? Because we printed trillions of dollars and threw it into green scams that made our agricultural economy suffer while Americans were paying higher prices for food.
Thank you, J.D. Vance. Are you going to be that way in 3 years when Trump leaves? I hope you are. I'll be your biggest supporter. You're a never Trumper. That makes me pause. Just does, because you're never Trump, you're never me. You're never America. Can a man change? Absolutely. But I don't trust it. I don't. Listen to Mr. Bassett as he talks about the cabinet meetings and what's happening because of Donald Trump. And I like this guy. Like, I think he speaks a little strange. He has a different cadence, but he's highly intelligent and he doesn't give a rip when he's talking to people. And look at this very, very effeminate. You can just see the guy on the left. Look at how he sits. No real man sits like that. Like, what are you doing? Are you wearing a skirt and you don't want me to see your panties? Is that what's going on? I mean, what man sits like that? Honestly, I think this is a very reasonable question to point this out and say, this is what's wrong with America. You have effeminate gay men trying to distort what this man who's on the righteous side is trying to accomplish under the Trump administration. But you can see it's already skewed, right? New York Times, and we have this guy. So keep your legs crossed, sweetheart, so we don't want to see your panties. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd what's happened to the American man. Absolutely absurd. Go ahead and play this, Nick. Maybe Nick, I think we're having trouble getting that started, but I'm going to tell you why Nick, there he goes.
You had what was one of the greatest scandals of all time, that the coverage of the Biden administration, Joe Biden's diminished capacity, and the cover-up.
And that's why it's probably fair to raise these questions.
Where was the New York Times? We just had a 3-hour cabinet meeting yesterday, Andrew. For 10 months, the Biden administration did not have a cabinet meeting. How are you going to invoke the 25th Amendment if the cabinet secretaries never see the president, which they didn't? That, I hear from people in the Treasury building that I see President Trump more in a day than my predecessor saw Joe Biden in half a year. So,
Haven't seen Joe Biden. He's great. We had a cabinet meeting for 3 hours. Joe Biden has no idea where he was after 3 minutes. Donald Trump's holding meetings for an hour, 3 hours, 3 hours. You can't hate. And I know you're not supposed to hate, right? I get it. I get it. But if you don't despise these leftist beta males, I don't know what to do for you. They're disgusting. And just so you're all clear, they look down on us like we're subservient, that we're stupid rubes. I've been in all these meetings with these people. I've been in the, quote, higher level. I've been in the entertainment. I've been everywhere. And they talk to me and they talk to you and they just kind of look, and you're looking at them like, okay, listen, you want to say this out loud, but you're trying to be professional, but you give them the look and they get the understanding when they start talking to you a certain way. Like, you just look at them like, I'll break your neck in a second. I could do your job and cross my legs like a little effeminate little fairy, and I could talk very, very well, actually better than you. But you could never in a million lifetimes put a gun belt on and go do what I do. You would pee your pants. You would crawl up in the fetal position and cry for your mama. You're a disgusting human being. You're everything I despise in men. You're gutless and weak. Here's a woman that weighs about 105 pounds, and she's just going to tell you the truth about Tim Walz. Listen to Christy Noem.
You told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visas and their programs. 50% of them are fraudulent, which means that wacko Governor Walz either is an idiot or he did it on purpose. And I think he's both, sir. He brought people in there illegally that never should have been in this country, said they were somebody that they're not. They said they were married to somebody who was their brother or somebody else, fraudulent visa applications, signed up for government programs, took hundreds of billions of dollars from the taxpayers, and we're going to remove them and we're going to get our money back. You told me to look into Minnesota and their fraud on visa.
She's great. She's great when it comes to that. Is he an idiot? Is he retarded? Is he corrupt? Yeah, he's all those things. He's all those things. I'm going to show you another one. This is, it's not sexy, right? It's not sexy, but this is Ross Volt. Volt, I think his name's Voigt. He's the director of management and budget. Listen to what he's talking about, because this is important. I know it sounds boring. It's not sexy, but he's deregulating and opening up avenues. Listen to what he says about the percentage of non-compete contracts coming into the federal government, meaning only one company is putting forth a bid, and they bid whatever they want. They win the bid because there's no other bid. And we're dying as a country financially. Listen to this man.
Mr. President, last time I was here, I said that the amount of dereg that we had for regulatory was 30 to 1. Since then, it's up to 48 to 1. Your goal had been 10 to 1, which was in excess of 6 to 1 in the first term. It's actually much higher than that, but I made my team redo the threshold a little bit because it sounded so unbelievable. But the amount of work that's being done with this entire team is astronomical. And another detail in that is that when we propose a rule, some of the biggest ones that you care the most about don't go into that count until they are finalized. So next year we should be even more eye-popping. One of those to talk about is the federal acquisitions regulations, which you gave us a charge 6 months ago to dramatically reduce. In 6 months, we've lowered it by 25%, 500 pages, 2,700 mandates, which is a third of the mandates. That's going to lead to savings, competition, and speed. So probably $40 billion for the agencies in savings over the course of 10 years. When we get up and running, it'll be north of between $200 and $400 billion. Competition, about 45% of government bids only have one bidder. So you got no competition in that situation. That will now change, and then we're just getting faster, months, and hopefully we turn it into years, which means you all around this table can buy things that you need quickly, and that you have better vendors to come, many of them small businesses who want to participate in the federal procurement process. So making all sorts of improvements on that front is very exciting.
I love his cabinet meetings because he lays it all out. Everyone can see it for what it is. You think Joe Biden could ever have done that? You think Joe Biden could have focused for 3 minutes? Who are we going to listen to? Pete Buttigieg? As he's nursing his child with a fake breast? Oh, yeah. Have to look at some more pictures of him and his husband swinging on a swing set as they get married. We're going to listen to Kamala Harris tell us about God only knows what with her stupid cackle. We're going to listen to Alejandro Mayorkas, who looks like a dirty, filthy rat, talk about the greatness of open borders. Look at the contrast. America, I hate you, Democrats, and America, I love you, Republican. His cabinet, not Republicans. Republican politicians are scumbags. We need a third party. I don't care. I don't even want to hear what people they can argue with me all they want. There needs to be a third party. The Republicans don't represent me, and they don't represent millions and millions and millions of Americans. We're lost. We have no representation. When's the last time we didn't have representation in America, and what happened? Oh, something not really good. Let me show you my last person from, and I've had my issues with Secretary Rollins, but when it comes to this EBT snap, I don't have anything bad to say. I will just cheerlead on the side because she is bringing receipts, and she's going to bring the thunder and lightning to all of these 21 disgusting blue states. Go ahead and play this of Brooke Rollins.
In February of this year, we asked for all the states for the first time to turn over their data to the federal government to let the USDA partner with them to root out this fraud, to make sure that those who really need food stamps are getting them, but also to ensure that the American taxpayer is protected. 21 states said yes, not surprised. 29 states said yes, not surprisingly, the red states, and that's where all of that data, that fraud comes from. But 21 states, including California, New York, and Minnesota, the blue states, continue to say no. So as of next week, we have begun and will begin to stop moving federal funds into those states until they comply and they tell us and allow us to partner with them to root out this fraud and to protect the American taxpayer. As Joe Biden was working to buy an election a year ago, he increased food stamp program funding by 40%. So now as we continue to roll that back.
40%. The Democrats are scumbags. Do you hear what she said? This is important. She said all of the fraud that they've discovered has been in the red states. And it's shocking. What do you think we're going to find in the blue states? And she's perfect. I'm not going to give them any more money for anything. Holy smokes. That's how you smoke out traitors. You cut off the money spigot. I could watch his round table. I call it his round table, his cabinet meeting, because it gives great insight to the courage that they all have because of Trump. But if you remove that man from that office and from that table, they would never, ever have half the courage they show now. That's a testament to Trump, and it's a frightening aspect to America, because without him, and in 3 years, we will be without him. It's not a lot of time to get people up to speed and ready to go. The best way for you to support me and this channel and my producer, Nick, is to go to my website, jjcarrell.com, jjcarrell.com, or substack.com, jjcarrell.substack.com. I have tons of free content. Like tons, like literally tons. People always tell me, you need to put a lot more of that behind the paywall. Nope, I'm not. I'm going to, if someone can't afford the monthly $5, $7, $8, I want to give people enough. Just go to my site, go to my Substack, become a free subscriber, spread the word. I'm happy with that. Happy. If you could do one better and be a paid subscriber, I have tons of content, videos, writings, anything you can imagine behind the paywall. And I do that because, as I tell my son, nothing's for free, son. Everything costs something. The house, the mortgage, the cars, everything does. And this is my business. So I want you to please go to jjcarrell.com, jjcarrell.substack.com, and go to the sponsors that we have. And one of my sponsors that I talk about every day is sat123.com. sat123.com/JJ. If you listen to me more than one show, you know I'm all about being prepared. Be prepared. Prepared for what? I'm prepared for things that are different from what you think preparedness is. But on any level, you need to go to sat123.com. Sat phones, ballistic backpacks, generators, Faraday packs, you name it, they have it. To be prepared, even if you never need it, you have it. That's reassuring. That's what makes me feel good at night. My gun standing on my nightstand in my lockbox that comes with my fingerprints and opens up instantly. And the fact that my family is prepared for disasters. Am I prepared for everything? No, but what being prepared to me means, it means it gives me time. Not a lot of time, but it gives me time where everyone else is freaking out, going crazy. I have time to make a plan, to have a plan, and then to utilize that plan to keep my family safe. sat123.com/JJ, sat123.com/JJ. And that brings me to my next segment, which is my friend Kim Yater. Kim, How you doing?
Fantastic, JJ. It's so good to see you.
So good to see you too. So much has happened since we last saw because we had some scheduling conflicts and stuff. But
Yeah.
last time, we talked to you, my audience talked to you, is you had the huge debate from
Yes.
California governors. Can you tell us how that went?
Oh, that was amazing. The California Governor Showdown was an incredible success. And I'll tell you what, not only did the people feel like they got a real taste of the stance of that governor, not just the words they tell you that you want to hear,
Mhm.
but they got a real sense of the character, whether this guy was willing to put a stake in the ground, share their values, and stand for truth. So it was awesome.
Who do you think's going to win?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll tell you right now, we just did an internal poll with all of those that participated in the showdown, watched the showdown, and there was a heavy leaning towards Cheyenne, Pastor
Really?
Cheyenne, very heavy leaning. He has a huge audience. He has people love Cheyenne. So Cheyenne was a big hit. Louis Herms was a big hit. David Serpa and Daniel Mercury. Even Tillman was right there. So I would say those would probably be the 5 leading ones. Did I mention Hilton? I didn't say Hilton, did I? Hilton was
No.
right there too. So, I mean, we know that the GOP, their 2 leads are Bianco and Hilton. We already know
Right.
that. They're not even looking at the other candidates, period. They don't add them in, nothing. It's like a blind eye. That's why this Governor Showdown was so important. Because if we are just looking at Hilton and Bianca, we are going to miss the boat. We need to take a look at these other warriors and to see if they're the ones that are going to be able to really stand in the gap. And I'll tell you what, one person I didn't mention was Scott Shields. He's stealth. When I put this team of 6 that I mentioned the name of in a team, let me tell you, they would represent a force that would leave California shifted. And so I
Wow.
think this round, JJ, something new's got to happen here. When you said, I'm done with the Republicans, we've got to do it different. Do we need a third party?
Mhm.
We need a third party, JJ. That's exactly what we need.
And it will be painful. Kim, it will be
Okay.
painful to get a third party. But
Yeah.
I think that if it's done correctly, I think there's enough people in the center that are disgusted with the left. And there's enough people in the center that are like, no, the right is not doing anything. They talk. I want someone that's going to do something. You know what, this is interesting. I want to just ask you this
Yeah.
before we get into the topic that I wanted to discuss with you. I am under the belief, and I just want to hear your reaction to this. I don't believe that Donald Trump is the change man. Okay. He's the man for the time. I believe God put him. There's a man for the time. However, I think there's another man that we don't even know about. Have no idea what his name is. And he's going to rise up because we're going to be so disgusted after 4 years, even with everything Donald Trump is doing, that we're going to ask for and demand someone very, very far to the right that's going to come in and he's going to bulldoze everything. He's going to be very charismatic. He's going to be young. He's going to be very well spoken, very attractive, and he's going to drive our country, like literally drive our country to the right place. And I don't think it will be pretty. I don't think it'll be kind. I think there'll be systemic changes to our Constitution, to the way that we do things. But history shows what I'm describing has happened over and over
Yes.
and over again.
Yes.
What's your initial reaction when you hear someone like me say, I think there's a guy out there and he's going to cause a lot of pain, but it's going to make America better?
Well, the younger generation has been sitting on the sidelines watching all of this, and they are so sickened. They've also been seeking the truth and pursuing the truth. So there's a lot that they're present to and aware of, and they see that the current systems do not work, that we've just been enslaved. So I wouldn't be surprised if there were someone in that younger generation, the Charlie Kirks of our time, that are rising up behind the scenes. I don't know if it's going to happen in this election, but I will tell you this, that if things go down which we are on the cusp
Mm-hmm.
of anything happening. We've been talking forever about the national breach of security, the Trojan horse, it's going to rear its head. We're right there. So if all hell breaks out and everything goes to rubble, we're going to have to build from there. And I think that's when we're going to be able to see the young rise up like never before.
I agree, because I've said this over and over. My son's generation, he's 14, and the one that's right above him, that 20-ish, somebody's going to rise up from that. It's going to lead us to the promised land, lead us to, when I mean that, I mean someone's going to come in and drive out the illegals out of our country, drive out the foreign nationals, drive out everybody, and then severely punish the traitors in our country. Look, before you came on, I showed a clip of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump, who is, when he says something like this, you have to listen. He said, we are at a tipping point. America could go one way or the other. We are at the precipice. That's frightening. It's one thing for me and you to say it, and it carries a lot of weight when you say it. But when the president of the United States sits there, without any constraints, no teleprompters, and just telling you straight from the heart, we're at the tipping point of America. We can go great or we can go to hell. One of the things is going to happen. It's amazing. Now, before you came on, I showed a gentleman, and I just pointed him out. He was interviewing Mr. Bassett, and I didn't catch it when I was getting it ready for my show, when I put this segment together with you, and I just saw it, and I'm like, okay, no man sits like this. He was sitting like a girl, okay, like a woman would sit, and it's unnerving for men. For men like myself, Christian, strong men that are masculine. We hate it. We hate it. We hate it. We hate it. Like when we see men like that, we instinctively go, we run away. I'm not going to sit down and talk to you. I don't want to be around you. I find you make me disgusted, right? That's the truth, the real truth, that media can try to tell you whatever you want. We have a problem. And the reason why I really asked you to come on, because I wanted to ask you this very, very specific question, because I'm a strong Christian man, sinner, but a Christian man. You're a very strong Christian woman that believes in God's natural order. I believe in God's natural order. And I instinctively, and not even instinctively, I can see it with my own eyes. We have no natural order. It's so skewed. Women are masculine, men are feminine. The roles of husband and wife have been destroyed. Everything's chaotic. And I came across this one, Nick, if you can get it ready, it's number 10. And this is a man talking about what has happened to the natural order of men and women caused by feminism. And I just wanted your take as a strong woman, because you're unique in the way that you believe in biblical truths and biblical natural order, but you are also a very, very strong, powerful woman. And where you find that piece to be the Christian woman fascinates me. But I'd like to hear your take on what this man says, and if you agree with it or not. Okay.
How does feminism kill a nation? Political analyst Helen Andrews assigns a collapse to the great feminization, essentially the systematic importing of women and their feminine traits into historically masculine institutions. As we know, institutions are just groups of people, and when those groups are dominated by women, those institutions begin to function according to feminine impulses. Let me just give you a few examples. Law schools went majority female in 2016. Medical schools followed in 2019. University faculty became majority female by 2023. 54% of the Associated Press is now female. College graduates are now 60% women. HR departments across Fortune 500 companies are 75 to 85% female. Psychology majors, 80% female. Public school teachers, 77% female. Many of the culturally shaping institutions in America are now dominated by women. Andrews notes, institutions run by large numbers of women shift the culture from confrontation to consensus, from competition to accommodation, from principle to sentiment. Now, this isn't an insult. This is just biology. Women rank significantly higher in agreeableness and empathy and conflict avoidance compared to men. So, what happens when feminine traits dominate fields that require ruthless consistency and raw truth, like law or governance or politics or military or police or academia or theology? Well, you get a nation governed by feelings, not convictions. You get emotional management, not moral clarity. The priorities of masculine resolve and advancement shift toward bureaucracy and meetings, and everybody is constantly concerned, and HR swells. Disagreements, are essentially rebranded as aggression. Tolerance becomes a virtue, and success becomes secondary to managing people's feelings. G.K. Chesterton once said, civilizations crumble when they forget obvious truths. That is, biblically and historically, none of this should surprise us. Men are designed by God to rule, build, and protect. Women are designed to nurture, support, and stabilize households. So the rise of feminism is directly correlated with the decline of American strength. Now, if I had to sum up this whole thing in one sentence, it would be this: a nation cannot survive when it denies nature.
I love it. I love it. I believe 100%. What's your takeaway as a strong Christian woman on that?
I have so many thoughts, JJ, that were going through my head. Let me just tell you. Well, first of all, we know that Satan twists things, right? So we also know that the whole feminism movement, when you look at the roots of feminism, it's not about unity, it's not about peace, it's not about building one another up. It's clearly a divide. It's anti-man. That's the feminism movement. We're not talking about that. Like, he's talking about that movement, and it is destructive to society. But the question is, can you have a woman that loves God, that works within the role that God has given her as the helper? Now, God has created us equal. It's not man above woman or woman above man. He says, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. Husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church. He laid down his life for the church. Wives, submit yourselves to your husbands out of reverence for Christ. And then you've got to distinguish submission, JJ. There is a worldly submission, which is an under you submission. It's power, it's control. It's not. If you follow Jesus and the teachings of Jesus and the roles he gave the woman in the church, I'm not talking about Paul, I'm talking about Jesus. You can clearly see that God is calling us, Jesus is calling us to submit to one another, that each of the husband and wife have a very distinct role, but it is to work together to unify. So if we break it down, and I want us to look at it like this: God's order, marriage and family, one man, one woman, lifelong covenant. Let's look at what the world did under feminism, under the Satan twisting it. So now we've got the no-fault divorce, we've got cohabitation, same-sex marriages, polyamory. We've got a bunch of junk, 50% of divorce rate, fatherless homes, skyrocketing youth, mental health rates, are off the hook with suicide for teenagers. So you can break it down to marriage and family, sexuality, male leadership, female leadership. He said one thing in the end that bothered me a little bit, JJ. If we look at feminism and the root of feminism, in the end, you're going to find, yes, everybody's moved by their emotions and feelings. But when you have a woman playing a godly role, a strong woman that knows who she is as a daughter of the king, and a godly man knowing who he is as a son of the king, that we are here for purpose. When we're moving within our roles, you can have a community where you're leading, where God places you in leadership as a woman, for example, or as a man, and you can have a healthy, vibrant, flowing community where there's actually freedom and there's action. So I think when I heard him say, what did he say? He said something in there and it just struck me. And I was like, ooh, it just leaves such a bad taste for women. Listen, we're all created equal, JJ. And yes, there are roles, but submission is a godly submission. A woman and a man, what is the man's mission? That she is submitting in and submitting under.
But
right?
there is systemic problems when you have 85% of the people that are hiring are females, and 60% are now graduating in college. Their roles have diminished in our society because we have been demonized, and there is going to be a reshuffling of the deck. And when that happens, it's not going to be pretty. Maybe my bigger point is when this gets rectified, or maybe it won't, but when it gets rectified, as everything else, when the pendulum swings, it's not kind. It doesn't watch out for people. It just is a wrecking ball.
It's
so
true.
I think of a pendulum not like some little tiny little sliver that comes back. I think of a gigantic wrecking ball that destroys everything as it tries to get back to quote center. And I just think that we're off centered as Americans. I just do.
I would agree. I would agree that we are off center. And if women continue to take on these falsity roles of feminism, then we're going to continue to have a society that's broken down. And just even the man taking on a role of having to be in control and, plummeting through things. I mean, you've got to have a man is a powerful leader, and a woman can be a powerful leader when they work together. That can make a tremendous difference. Now, we've got to stop the indoctrination. We need to change the way things are being done. But how do we do that, JJ? It starts with who are the people that are in those positions? How do I get to the teachers? How do I get to the leaders of this organizations? Well, I better start in my community. I better start by one, taking full responsibility for who I am, right?
Yep, I
How I'm
agree.
treating the people around me. And then let me reach out to my communities. Let me be love. Let me lead these younger women by example and teaching them. And in the same way, that's what the men can do. So we don't need to sit there and watch society, fall apart. We can literally make a difference from where we are right here, right now.
You're always so positive. You're always so filled with hope. With me, I'm seeing, I'm not even a half glass full. I'm just like, you know what? I don't throw the glass away, right? I just want to see things clearly as they are. So, but thank you. So I love your positivity. I love your hope. As this show ends down, can you just tell our audience about one of the things that you talk about is take your power back, thus the takeyourpowerbackshow.com.
Yes.
It's the partners that we have, that you and I both have with our sponsor, patriotsmade.com. And I have been on, we have probably over 1,000 of my audience and listeners are making the change or are beginning to make the change. And what is that change? It's stop giving your money to box stores and to companies that literally hate you, and give it to a company that's made in America by Americans. And it's by people in a company that has the same values as us. That's who you're giving the money to. So tell my audience, give me 60-second pitch of why should we go to patriotsmade.com?
Well, I'll tell you what, JJ, the power is in locally. What's the difference I can make right here, right now in my phone, my home? What can I do to move the needle? One, I could take my power back from the big box retailers, because the big box retailers don't care about us. They didn't care about us during COVID. They provided products like they do every day and like they've done for decades that have parabens, alcohol, sulfates, triclosan, quaternary disinfectants. They're poisons, they're heavy metals. They keep us sick, and then we're fed into the pharmaceutical industry. That's not how we get to live. I mean, we get to choose how we're going to live. I chose, JJ chose, and our communities are choosing to take their power back by making the switch to American made, the best of science and nature. No junk in the trunk, better, safer, and affordable prices. Everything from brushing your teeth, washing your hair, using deodorant, to the beef you eat with no hormones, no antibiotics, and never, ever mRNA. And so go to patriotsmade.com/JJ. That's where you're going to be able to access your video to get a taste and a sense of how you can take your power back from the big box retailers and switch. That's patriotsmade.com/JJ. And JJ, I'll personally reach out and support your customer, your audience.
You're the best. My son now is eating all my beef jerky, so I have to get a new supply. He eats a whole package for lunch, which is great. He's going to eat a all natural beef jerky. I'm all for it, instead of gummy bears or whatever the heck he's trying to put in his bio.
Right. Come on, Daddy.
I know. Kim Yater, thank you so much for coming on. I always love having you on. Love you too. Thank you very much. TakeYourPowerBackShow.com. TakeYourPowerBackShow.com. That's Kim Yater. She is the best. Thank you, Kim. Show's almost over. I'm looking at my clock. I'm like, holy smokes, I got about 40 seconds. I got tons of stuff that I want to cover. The title of my show is Trump leads in a dark world. It's true. I'm not real big on saying this, but I really believe, and I need to do this way more, is we need to pray for Donald Trump. Like, pray that he has discernment, that he has wisdom, and that he has the courage to do what's right. And I know it's so much easier sitting behind a TV camera telling him he needs to do this and do that, because the world is literally on his shoulders. We are at a tipping point in America, and Trump needs our prayers, and he needs our support, and he needs our encouragement as well as our criticisms when they are valid. But that man is doing more for us than any president has ever done in our history, period.